coming to you live from the news hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
Good evening. I am Noble Crosby Annan, and these are the headlines of the bulletin tonight.
News360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal, EcoBank.
Tonight, relief for Sachet water consumers as government intervenes to halt planned price hike. Tonight, we'll explore lingering concerns over future increases and industry pressures amid ongoing Iran war.
And also coming up tonight, growing awareness of autism in Ghana sparks call to shift focus from stigma and challenges to strengths and abilities of affected individuals.
New portable medical devices revolutionize healthcare delivery in Ghana and Africa, bringing rapid diagnostics closer to underserved and remote populations. We'll tell you more.
On the international front, Iran calls for a definitive end to ongoing war as it formally rejects U.S. ceasefire proposal.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We can get interactive there. Let's settle for the details.
In our first story, consumers who had braced for an increase in the price of sachet water today can now breathe a sigh of relief. The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry has announced that the price of sachet water will remain unchanged following the suspension of a planned increase by the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers. Well, that was expected to take effect today. But while prices remain unchanged for now, concerns still linger. Christabel Success Trevor reports.
Sachet water, popularly known as pure water, remains a daily essential for millions of Ghanaians. From commuters to traders, it is often the most accessible source of drinking water. So news of a planned price increase had sparked concern among consumers ahead of its expected implementation on Monday, April 6. The National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers had earlier indicated that rising costs, including fuel, packaging materials with utility tariffs, were making it difficult to maintain existing prices. The planned adjustment, they say, was necessary to sustain production and distribution. However, that increment has now been suspended, bringing some relief, at least for now. How much do you normally buy water?
50 pesos. But the bag, some people sell it 8 cedis. Some people also sell 5 pieces of the water for 2 cedis. But I learned they said they will be increasing it to 70 pesos. And some said they'll sell it 3 for 2 cedis.
It will affect me a lot because I have plenty of children at home. One child will drink water about 5 or 6 a day. So imagine, so it's 6 cedis for water. So what about their food? Only one child though. How much less those who have like 6, 5 distance? So it will affect me a lot. And it will affect those who are, especially we that we don't have. The poor people, no, little poor, no. It will affect us. So I agree with government because once the pure water there, it's too much. Ghana, we don't see these things. Otherwise, we will run from our own country. We have to drink that galamsey water and get infected too.
In a statement, the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry announced that a planned increase has been suspended. The ministry commended the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association and the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers for cooperating to halt the adjustment, describing the move as a demonstration of commitment to consumer protection and market stability. Vendors say, while the decision offers temporary relief, some have increased their prices.
I didn't buy today. Then they talk me say, this week they sell 10 cedis. The last time they said, they buy 8 cedis. Then now say 10 cedis. I don't know what I go sell. Now me I say I will sell 50 pesos. The people say she won't buy 1 cedis. I say no. Let's sell 50 pesos. No, the people send the water. They say they will sell 1 cedi. I sell 50 pesos for you.
The ministry says the intervention is aimed at cushioning households and maintaining affordability and current economic pressures. It has also announced an urgent meeting with industry players to address challenges within the sector and explore sustainable solutions. Cuts International has commended the move by government.
We think that the decision by government to halt the increase of the sachet water is fair and reasonable, because what the association decided to do is that they want to become like cartels and engage in price fixings. When you look at the production of sachet water, not all of sachet water manufacturers source their raw materials from Middle East, which has been affected by the war there. Some may be sourcing here from Nigeria, some even Ghana, China, US, and other countries. And so for you to use the war in Middle East as a pretext for increasing your prices by 50%, we think that it is not the best.
For now, sachet water prices remain unchanged, but both consumers and industry players will be watching closely as discussions continue. Christabel Success Treve, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now talk transportation, because the Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwashiorforsu, has announced the arrival of a new fleet of buses to help ease ongoing road transport challenges across the country. In a Facebook post on Sunday, March 5, the Minister outlined government efforts to improve public transport and reduce pressure on commuters. He revealed that the government has begun receiving buses as part of a broader plan to expand transport capacity nationwide. According to him, 129-seater buses have already arrived in the country to address recent transport difficulties. The buses form part of a larger procurement of 300 vehicles aimed at strengthening the public transport system and improving mobility. Felix Kwashiorforsu added that another batch of 100 buses is expected in August after the one that has arrived in April, while the final batch will arrive in November. The phased delivery is expected to gradually improve transport conditions, particularly during peak hours when commuters often face overcrowding and delays. Well, Alhassan Tampuli Sulemana is the Deputy Ranking Member on the Select Committee of Roads and Transportation. Is joining us right now for some reactions to this development. Honourable, thank you so much for joining us. Good evening to you. As the Deputy Ranking Member, these buses we know have arrived in the country. There's a lot more to expect in the coming months. But beyond the arrival of these buses, what will you like to see in terms of how they are put to use and how they are managed?
Thank you very much. Good evening, and good evening to your listeners across the country. I think that the new buses that have been supplied to Ghana is a continuation of initiatives that have, taken place in the past. In 2022, we had received some buses from VDL. And with that, I think we received about 100, and the first batch came 45, and the remaining 55 came, in the fullness of time. All in all, the relationship between Ghana and VDL has led to the supply of over 500 buses. Now, the arrangement that we had with the Belgian government at the time was that 50 buses will be supplied annually to Ghana. And so we believe that by 2026, we should have been receiving almost about 200 buses.
Right.
Better late than never anyway. So we changed direction at some point, because the buses that we have received in the past were mostly what we call internal combustion engine buses, ICE buses.
Okay.
Which basically run on diesel.
And these are?
With ICE buses, they run on diesel or what you call gas oil.
Okay.
Now, with time, we took a position that our carbon footprint, and our responsibility to ensuring that we reduce our carbon footprints requires that we move away from the ICE into the import of electric buses.
Okay.
And so that is where we had gone to. And in November 2024, we have received the first set of 10 buses out of 100.
Okay.
And we're hoping.
Honorable
that
Tampoli,
this
so
government-
the buses that have arrived at the moment are electric vehicles?
Yeah, so we're hoping that, any buses that will come in the future are going to come along the lines that, we started. So
great.
that we sustain our grip on the electric buses, ecosystem.
Right.
Now, what it is that you are likely going to have challenges if you continue importing ICE buses because spare parts are not as available as they were before.
Fair enough. Honorable, let's now talk about putting the buses to use as they have arrived in the country. Good news that they are electric vehicles. Now that they are here, how do we maximize the use of the buses?
So the buses are brought principally to Metro Mass Transport Company Limited. And they have a way of deploying these buses on the major arterial routes.
Okay.
Accra, Adenta, Accra, Tema, Accra, Nsawam, Accra, Kaswa. So these are the 4 major roads that they normally deploy them on. And then they take some of them to the other regions. And then they also do use some for intercity, services. So yes, they know the major roads that they need to deploy them on, and I do not want to second guess what the management of Metro Mass is going to do.
Right.
They know where they have the demands, and I believe they will do the proper deployments to meet the expectation of the traveling public.
Right. The broader aim, Honourable, is to ease the transport burden we've had in the country over the past couple of months. Now, there's research that is indicating that if these 300 or when these 300 buses arrive in the country, they will only ease the transportation problem by about 9%. That is indicating that a lot more will have to be done in terms of infrastructure, not only the buses alone. So from the Transport Committee, what would you want to see beyond the arrival of these buses in terms of easing the transportation problem from infrastructure expansion, road expansions, amongst others?
So basically what we have to look at is how to deploy the bus rapid transport system, the BRT system. How do we create dedicated lanes for these mass transportation buses so that customers or passengers feel the need to park their cars and then ride on these buses to town, get to work, and when they close, they come and pick their cars at the terminals where they pick these buses. Now, when you have dedicated lanes, and then the buses also run on time, and so you know that by 6:30, there's going to be a bus, at this terminal, or 7:30, so they move in terms of 30 minutes interval, or 15 minutes interval, or a 1 hour interval, so that passengers get to know. So there's some amount of certainty and predictability.
Okay.
So that gives passengers, the edge to know that, okay, if I park my car, I'll likely catch this bus at this time.
So beyond the arrival of the buses, of the buses, there's still a lot more that government has to do so that the transportation problem can be solved.
As a matter of fact, this is not even a government problem per se. It's the transport sector. And over the years, over the decades, private sector has been the engine driving the transport sector, not even the government buses. If you compare the number of buses that we have in the public sector to the number of trotros that we have on one route alone, there will be more than the number of government buses.
Right.
So whilst we are doing this, we should also support the private sector, GMPRTU, Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, so that they will also get the bus. The government to support them to be able to bring in the buses to augment what it is that we are seeing with Metro Mass. So yeah, this is a continuation. I don't even know what this is, quite a big ceremony, but normally these buses come in town every now and again.
Thank you.
And it's just business as usual.
Thank you so much. Alhassan Tampuli Suleimana, the Deputy Ranking Member on the Select Committee of Roads and Transportation, speaking with us there. Let's do some other stories.
In more news tonight, amid growing economic pressures, public transport providers are seeking fresh discussions with authorities over a potential upward review of fares. The move reflects concerns within the sector about sustaining operations as expenses continue to climb, setting the stage for a decision that could directly affect commuters and the wider economy. Judith Brown has more in this News Desk report.
Transport operators are set to engage the government this week over a possible increase in fares, citing rising operational costs such as fuel, spare parts, maintenance and inflation. These pressures, operators say, has made it difficult for them to maintain current pricing, prompting calls for an adjustment. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, and other commercial transport operators want an increase in fares by at least 20% if government fails to scrap certain taxes on petroleum products. The government's role will be to balance these demands with a need to protect commuters from sudden increases in the cost of living. Transport Minister Joseph Bukari Nikbe spoke last Thursday, April 2nd, about the development.
Over 3 weeks today, I've been engaging them. Myself and the Finance Minister will be engaging them, and we are all in a state of engagement. We will soon come out with our final decisions to the general public. I wouldn't want to make anything known to the public that is not yet finalized with my transport unions. And we work together, and I must thank them for their cooperation so far. And I believe that at the end of the day, we'll come out with a win-win situation for us and then the transport unions and all the drivers that we have. Either through this situation that we find ourselves in, you realize that all the fuel prices were going downwards. But what is happening in Iran from America and Israel is creating these issues for us. But the unions are cooperating, we are working together, and we will come out soon with our final decisions.
If fares are raised, the most immediate effect will be higher daily transport costs for passengers, reducing disposable income, especially for low-income earners. Beyond commuters, the impact is likely to spread across the economy as higher transport costs often lead to increased prices of goods and services. Response: some people may cut back on travel, seek cheaper alternatives, or adjust their routes to cope with the added expense. Ultimately, while operators aim to stay financially viable, customers are likely to feel the strain through higher commuting costs and a broader rise in living expenses. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Now, the Public Accounts Committee sitting, which took place just last week in Accra, it had some confrontations, exchanges and shocking revelations that raised serious concerns about how ministries, departments and agencies manage public finances and claims. A look at the 2024 Special Audit Report by the Auditor General shows how poorly the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System is used in keeping records. Christian Yali recaps the biggest stories.
What started as a usual business quickly took an early twist of exchanges when a former procurement director at the Agric Ministry revealed some party people hijacked warehouses and stopped the supply of rice.
Initially, the party people prevented him, and subsequently, the supplier owned his agent, so they didn't give him access to continue the transportation.
When was this? When was this done?
That is after the election.
After the election?
Yeah, we have to get the military to even intervene, but still.
A member of the committee, Edem Agbana, who sought clarity on this, later had exchanges with leadership of the committee.
What your deputy ranking has said, the answer is contradictory to what the deputy ranking.
Respectfully, young man, Honorable MP, please, your chairman has spoken. I think we should end it. You are not more party-like than your chairman who is here taking over the affairs of what we are doing. Respectfully.
Madam Chair, respectfully, I take strong exception to that statement.
Respectfully.
I asked the question because this is a committee of Parliament. Parliament is a house of records.
Take over and do what is expected. Please.
With tempers
Flying high, the chairman of the committee exerted his authority and directed immediate ceasefire.
Okay, quiet. I'm in charge here. Quiet. Why can't you guys show a little bit of respect to me? What do you mean?
Madam, what you said has brought some controversy.
The rice is there.
Yes.
They prevented you at that time to go and access the rice.
Yes.
Can you have access to it now?
No.
Why not?
The agent is still not giving us access.
As if that was all, more shocking findings were made. One was that the NPP government in 2024 paid 21 million cedis for renovation of the Black Star Square for that year's Independence Day celebrations, although the celebration did not happen there.
The 7th Independence anniversary was moved to Kuforudua. That's where it took place, after the award of the contract. So certainly it's true. What you are saying is very true, but we also had higher authority. When they say move, we are moving. Sit, we are sitting. That's it. Thank you.
Even more troubling was how a former procurement director at the Defense Ministry allegedly falsified document amounting to 4.8 million cedis to procure vehicles to monitor the 2024 elections, but no vehicle was delivered.
The supplier came heavily on us that he had information that they were not going to pay for the vehicles, and so demanded to take the vehicles away. So we considered the issue that to release the vehicles to the supplier and then bound him to keep them for us by extending the contract. Because at the time...
With whose authority did you do this?
Well, it was advice I gave to management.
You,
since, yes,
in your capacity as?
No, it was advice I gave, like, this is the request from the supplier.
A whole military institution. In your capacity as, what's your role, please?
I was the director for procurement.
Director for procurement?
Yes.
Just to let you know, I'll have a special report to the Attorney General for your prosecution.
Also, two other officials formerly at the Sanitation Ministry were summoned for making claims of over 8 million cedis to construct toilet facilities across the country. Yet, the project was never executed. But in less than 10 years, the supporting document was sent to National Archives.
The officers who handled this transaction are still at post in other ministries. The director for procurement was one Mr. Theophilus Okan. He is still at the Ministry of Defense. And Mr. Bright Odro Kwatin, he is now Director of Finance at the Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness. So they are still alive, they are still in public service, and I don't want to be a victim of what the Bible says, that I was made to answer questions for which I have no idea about. Archives, I don't know, the thing is not up to 10 years, and you are taking them, you say that you've been sent to archives. And Mr. Chairman, we have the names of the contractors here.
And before the sitting would conclude, it was revealed 20 million cedis was paid by the District Assembly's Common Fund on 31st December 2024 for mobilization works on a parliamentary service hospital. Till date, the contractor has not been given a site to start work, but the money is gone.
An agreement was reached to pay 15% mobilization of about 108 million, out of which 20 million cedis was paid.
So my question is, where is this parliamentary service hospital? Have they started the building? We've already paid 15% mobilization.
Mr. Chairman, it is my understanding from the letter received from Sienna Services that the money they received went into project design and technical planning, site assessments, consultancy services, and arrangement of bonds and guarantees and insurance. However, they also did indicate that they were asked to change the project site. The new site has not been given to them yet, and therefore work has stalled.
The Public Accounts Committee has ended 8 hearings in Accra, with the chairperson recommending effective use of the gift mix system to ensure effective record keeping.
Here is a situation where we have a system, that's the gift me system, that can help us to a large extent to keep some of these documentation and records. But clearly, we have seen that the technical people, the people who are responsible to feed the system with this information, are not doing what is expected of them. If you are able to carry these things out properly, we will go a long way to block the huge leakages that we see in there.
It definitely will go a huge, long way so that we can block all those leakages. This is still News 360. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We're back with more stories after this break. Don't go away.
Life-saving interventions. Christian Yale reports that these health innovations are reshaping healthcare delivery in Ghana and across Africa.
Getting tested for diseases has not been quick or easy. For some patients, it can take hours or even days to receive results. But in critical cases, that delay can mean the difference between life and death. But things are changing. Portable or handheld devices known as digital diagnostics are being designed to bring testing closer to the patient, delivering results almost instantly. These test kits can detect infections on the spot, so health workers no longer need to send samples to distant laboratories before making decisions. I visited Imperial College London, a leading public research institution known for its track record in science, technology, engineering, medicine, and business. Researchers have developed portable tests, one called Dragonfly, that provide real-time diagnosis of malaria. They're now working with partners in African countries, including Ghana, to pilot these technologies and scale up their full-time implementation.
One of the most interesting applications that we've identified at the moment is using the Dragonfly test to identify people who are carrying malaria parasites in their blood. If you want to eliminate malaria, like Ghana does, then we need to identify these people and clear the parasites from their blood by giving them treatment. So this test may allow for the first time for us to be able to do that, to go test people in communities, give them treatment straight away to clear their malaria parasites and drive down the levels of transmission. And we think that's a really exciting prospect.
These researchers are currently developing the LACE wing, also known as Lab on a Chip, to tackle infectious diseases. Professor Cunnington believes it is the way forward.
But it needs to be developed to the point that it's ready to be produced as a commercial product. So we're not quite there with that one yet, but we're making amazing progress. Ghana Health Service has been a very important partner in this project. Actually, one of the things that they are doing is helping us to work with a variety of stakeholders and the public in Ghana to work out how these tests might fit into the existing healthcare system.
In Ghana, most of these technologies are already being used in laboratories and medical centers to respond more quickly to infectious diseases and even outbreaks. A notable one also is telemedicine, where patients consult doctors using their mobile phones and computers. This is already helping to bridge the gaps for underserved communities. As with any new technology, questions remain because many worry about accuracy, data privacy, and whether standards can be maintained outside traditional laboratory settings.
These tests go through a rigorous quality control process. Every test includes standards in it that tell you if the test has worked properly. So you know that you should get different color changes on the Dragonfly platform that tell you whether your test is giving a good result or the test has failed and you can't believe the result you've got from your patient sample. So there's internal quality control as well as the quality control in the manufacturing process.
Researchers and health providers are working to strike a balance in making healthcare faster without lowering standards. But what is clear is that these portable diagnostics are no longer just an idea. They're already transforming healthcare in Ghana. Christian Yale, TV3 News, London.
Well, it is believed that 62 out of every 10,000 people in Ghana are on the autism spectrum. Over the years, a lack of understanding has led to stereotypes and the stigmatization of the disorder. Advocates are championing a focus on abilities of autistic persons rather than the usual spotlight on their cognitive and behavioral challenges. There's more in this report.
Autism spectrum disorder, simply called autism, is the term used for a broad range of cognitive, motor and behavioral disorders. There are basic signs and symptoms health professionals look out for when diagnosing this disorder. However, due to its broad nature and the fact that it manifests differently in people, misdiagnosis or late diagnosis sometimes occur. Psychiatrist and senior lecturer at the School of Medical Sciences at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entwi, explains why these gaps exist.
Training gaps is one of the reasons why there's late diagnosis, but even those who eventually get to be diagnosed, most of those who have any training in supporting people with autism, social workers, occupational therapists, pediatric neurologists, child and adolescent psychiatrists are very few in the country. Probably all of them are located in the capital and maybe in the Ashanti region.
Despite these setbacks, a lot of effort is being made to change the narrative, showing us the strength and skills that are often missed and underdeveloped because more often than not, there's a lot of fixations on what autistic people lack than what they possess.
They are people who are deeply loyal and honest. Some of their strength is their ability to achieve extraordinary mastery of their interest area. What the ordinary person or neurotypical people would not see, they are able to pick details. And then they are brilliant in processing structures and building frameworks. No two people with autism are alike. So don't let us box them into unwritten rules of they are incapable of doing absolutely nothing, but we recognize their unique strengths and push those strengths into the limelight.
Nanaya Ohinewa is a young woman living with autism. Her story is a classic example of what happens when an autistic person is given the right support and allowed to shine in their own way without conforming to usual norms. Though minimally verbal, her great attention to detail and organizational skills got her employed in one of Ghana's top hotels. Nanaya's employment is one of very few exceptions. Dr. Owusu-Antwi speaks about what can be done to enable inclusivity for all autistic persons in society.
When we get to employ them, if they have issues with social interaction, can we put them at the back room where they don't have to deal with people? Now, the idea is not to take people with special needs and separate them in special need training or academic institutions so that they get to see more of people who are the neurotypical, not to change them, but to help them to adapt better in the world they find themselves. I would admonish that even the spiritual or faith-based leaders will join forces with the health professionals for us to recognize and destigmatize people living with autism and get proper help for them.
It's evident that stereotyping autistic people does not only limit their development and expression capabilities, it also denies our society the benefit of their special and genius skills. As the world commemorates Autism Month this April, governments, leaders and societies are being reminded that every life has value and autistic persons don't just have symptoms, they have abilities.
In more news tonight, Easter used to be about family picnics and church gatherings, but for many young people today, the celebration is taking on a whole new vibe. From beach raves to house parties, Gen Z is redefining how the season is marked. Samuel Yeboah Adams was at some of Accra's busiest beaches to find out what's driving the change.
It is a busy day at the beach, just as you would expect on an Easter Monday. Young boys playing soccer on the sand, while others dive into the waves, soaking in the moment. Here, there is a certain freedom in the air, a sense that for many of these young people, fun and celebration need no supervision. Enestete is a caretaker at the La Acapulco beach. He tells me the turnout among Gen Zs is always strong this time of the year.
They see it as a beach thing, I would say, because people are coming here more, and if you see around, you can testify that the young people are even enjoying more than the older people. The older people are just like mother and father, then they bring like their 4 kids. Yeah, that's how it runs. But I can say this year particularly, the younger people are celebrating it more than the older people.
For many of them, the usual Easter routine family picnics and church gatherings is slowly giving away to something more personal.
At first, when it is Easter, you enjoy the Easter with your family than to come to the beach. Of late, when it is Easter holidays, they don't even everybody prefer to go out.
Sometimes family is necessary, but sometimes too,
for your freedom, you need to be alone. Sometimes, normally nowadays, boys don't normally live with their parents because they think who they are.
Nowadays, you will not see these young ones with it. Instead of them being with their family, they will choose to go out with their friends and have fun.
But for the Boateng family, nothing quite compares to being together.
And then Easter Monday. Today is Easter Monday. I wanted my family to be happy during the season. That's why I decided with my husband to have a family picnic at the beach.
We must do well to go out with our children so that they will not be exposed to bad things. Even as times evolve, Benjamin, a family man, also believes the essence of family should never be lost.
If we leave them on their own, then this is how the generation will continue. But if the ones who knows the essence of the family concept or the family reunion, if we know the benefits that it gives, we can extend hands to them, teach them, train them, and pull them along in occasions like this.
While family remains a cherished part of the season, for this new generation, the desire to explore, connect and experience life independently is just as important and not one they are willing to give up. Yet the other generation believes family union is everything. Samuel Yeboah Adams, TV3 News, La.
We have sports news coming up shortly. Don't go away.
When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury acrylic paint. No be any paint, be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
Paint me champion. When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury acrylic paint. No be any paint, be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
Paint me champion.
Massa, my guy, what did they do? And they build. This area, water they destroy one of buildings for you. The walls all they spoil.
The dampness and moisture, it kill the houses small.
That's why I build with the new Gasem Super Strong Waterproof Cement. Waterproof cement. Yeah. It has a built-in water protection technology that reduces moisture penetration and strengthens walls. The thing they be for foundation, they be for block work, where it's not they be for plastering.
How the water weaken am already?
You can use this Gasem product to fix it and also to build it right. Gasem Waterproof Cement.
Sachet insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Asante Kotoko's Ghana Premier League clash against Samatex at the Babayara Sports Stadium has been called off following a heavy downpour on Monday evening. The match was goalless at the time of abandonment, with referee Nathan Anafo halting proceedings after assessing the pitch conditions early in the second half. The following 3 Sports report has more details.
Monday 28 game between Asante Kotoko and Samatex here at the Babayara Sports Stadium has been rained off. After the first 45 minutes where Asante Kotoko created the better of chances but couldn't put the ball at the back of the net, it was Samatex that defended their line very well. Were very resolute at the back, being led by former Hartlepool defender Kwesi Agbesima. He made sure that Albert Amua was a mere passenger in the first 45 minutes and was a mere periphery in the game, even though he had one glorious opportunity which he couldn't put at the back of the net. Samatex also threatened that they came close to scoring by goalkeeper Aziz Dari of Asante Kotoko, pulled off a magnificent save to ensure the first half ended goalless. Just when the players left the pitch, heavy downpour came on here at the Babayara Sports Stadium. The race has not even stopped, and the referee together with the match commissioner had to come onto the pitch and see if it's still playable. But after the assessment, the referee says that the soggy nature of the pitch will not be good for the game to continue. So the game has been rescheduled to Tuesday, that is tomorrow at 9 a.m. here at the Babayara Sports Stadium, where the second 45 minutes will be played. So Asante Kotoko will have to come back and see if they can get 3 points tomorrow. Mutale Akubu from the Babayara Sports Stadium to us.
And so that was my colleague Mutala Yakubu there, bringing a wrap from the Babayara Sports Stadium, where Kotoko were playing the goalless draw against Samatex. And that match has unfortunately been abandoned and would be resumed tomorrow, that's Tuesday morning. But with other results in match day 28, Berekum Chelsea got a narrow victory over Diana Stars. Mediama continued to struggle on the road with a 1-1 draw against Bechem United, and Heart of Oak finally got a win against Young Apostles. And so that's the latest from the Ghana Premier League. However, before we go, Deontay Wilder spoiled Derek Chizore's potential farewell party as he edged a thrilling split decision victory to send the Londoner into retirement at the O2 Arena on Saturday night. The Bronze Bomber claimed its 115, 111, 112, 115, 115, 113 on the scorecards as the pair marked their 50th outing of their decorated careers. Here are the first words of the American after the bout.
The glory to God, because without him, nothing is possible. You know, Derek, he's a warrior. He came like a lion to fight, but like I said before, I don't play boxing, I come in it. Many people doubted me. They counted me out. They do dirt on my name, but you can't throw dirt on somebody that's chosen. London, y'all always witnessed tonight what power, what destiny, what glory is all about. I just thank everybody that came out tonight. I want to thank MF Pro, the best promotion in the world. I want to thank The Zone, and I want to thank...
And so we're bringing you more details and highlights from the weekend on Sports Station here on TV3 at 9 p.m. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything.
News segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle
and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and welcome to the Entertainment News segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, tasked with delivering performances that creatively narrates the season's story, contestants shared powerful messages of hope, love, sacrifice, and inspiration. Each participant took the stage with a remarkable performance, celebrating the season in their own unique way. In the end, however, Blessing the Poet and Amazing Heroes were both evicted from the competition. This week on Talented Kids, it wasn't just about talent, it was a celebration of hope, love, and sacrifice.
Daddy, why do people celebrate Easter? Why do you always say Jesus gives us hope?
Very good and marvelous question to ask, my son. Stay glued to your seat and listen to the greatest story ever told.
Contestants were tasked to deliver performances that creatively told the season's story, and they did not disappoint. Bringing powerful acts that lift spirits and touch hearts in unique ways.
The hammer struck, the skies darkened, and the earth trembled. Soldiers laughed, priests demanded his death, yet Jesus whispered mercy to all. Even the river bends around the stone, it cannot move.
But as performances rounded up, it was the end of the road for two groups. Blessing the Poet and Amazing Heroes have been evicted from the competition.
Blessing, we've loved all the beautiful poetry you've recited for us, but unfortunately the votes did not come through. You are leaving the competition.
So sorry, Blessing, but this is the end. Uncle Nee, will we see them next week?
Amazing Heroes, your votes did not come in, so you're leaving the competition.
Want to keep your favorite in the game? Dial star 713 star 13 hash now to vote. Talented Kids, free to play. And that's it for the Entertainment News segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
Iran says it has rejected a U.S. proposal for a ceasefire while calling for a definitive end to the war. It shares a list of demands including an end to hostilities in the region, a protocol to ensure safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and the lifting of sanctions. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has called a separate proposal for a 45-day truce.
That's our package for you tonight, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. I'm Noble Crosby Annan.
And I am Portia Gaba, the sports station at 9 p.m. And do join Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight. Good evening.